Today we're taking the new 2022 GMC Sierra 1500 AT4X to our off-road test course to see just how capable it is. That's coming up right now on Driving Sports TV. We already have a complete review of the Chevy Silverado ZR2, and this GMC AT4X is basically the same truck. No, really. It has the same 6.2 liter V8 engine producing 420 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque. It has the same 2-inch lift with special spool valve shocks. It has all the skid plates underneath, plus it has a front and rear locker, just like the ZR2. The vehicle we're testing today is equipped with only 2 options. We get rocker bars on the side, which could come in handy, and then it also has special red paint. Prices you see it here, $73,300 US, including destination. The tires we have here are Goodyear Wrangler Duratrax. These are a very aggressive all-terrain pattern, and they should serve us well today. For a sport truck, the AT4X is really well equipped for doing actual work. You see this bed, it can haul up to 1,420 pounds. And of course you get the trick 2-level folding gate, which is really neat. In terms of towing capacity, you're looking at 8,900 pounds, which is really good for the class. In the back, you get secured storage by flipping the seat up. Lots of room, plus an extra bin. Fold it back down. And you just have an epic amount of space. I'm 6'1", legs torso proportionate, and I have just loads of room. They even give me a cutout up here if I want to wear a big cowboy hat. Fold down armrest with cup holders. 3 levels of heat on the outboard seats, plus a USB-C and a USB-A power interface. Nice. Okay, up we go. Yeah, you take a full-size truck and you put a 2-inch lift on it, it's a little bit of a climb to get in, but that's okay. Powered up. I like that start button, that's cool. It reminds us that it is the GMC because honestly, if you're blindfolded and just felt things, you'd probably think, isn't this a Silverado? I mean, it's very similar. We just have a slightly different design. Also in terms of functionality, almost identical. I mean, we have the same auto 4-wheel drive system as well as 4-high, 4-low, and 2-high, plus tow modes, plus both rear and front and rear locking options. There's also a hill descent control system, lane keep, collision mitigation, blind spot warning, rear cross traffic alerts, a really nice surround view camera with guidelines. Very nice. I can even look at my tow ball if I want to line up a trailer. So they've really thought this thing through. The fact that this is so similar to the Silverado isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, the Silverado is a really nice setup. Now, in the main gauge cluster here, we do have a lot of Google stuff, some slightly modified icons, but they're still not great. I didn't like them in the Silverado. I don't like them here. What we do get is, of course, Google Maps, because you have very tight Google integration here. But that doesn't mean you can't use your iPhone. CarPlay is, of course, also supported. Moving through things, you can look at camera views, you can look at the Play Store if you want to download apps. We have a whole page dedicated to trailering here, which is really nice, especially for people who are newbies at trailing. And then we have an X button here. What does that do, you might ask? Climate. Yeah, if you thought X stood for extreme or for off-road pages, no, it's just the climate controls. I'm not sure why there's an X there. It seems like it's overselling what's in this screen. Going down, I guess it's supposed to be a fan. Going down, we can look at the car, and this is really just roadside assistance and all that kind of stuff. Nothing terribly exciting there. As far as ergonomics go, the seat is very comfortable. I have both heating and cooling. I have lots of power adjustments. down here, including, oh yeah, I got some lumbar going on there. That's nice. And then, hey, you know what? That's right, massage. I can do various programs and get super comfortable here. I mean, if you're a manager on a work site, you need to sit in your truck all day. It's like, excuse me, I'm gonna go to work now and go sit in my truck and get a massage. Yeah, this is nice. Steering wheel, good materials. I like the stitching up here. We got leather everywhere. Most of the materials are really nice, but you would kind of expect that considering this vehicle clocks in at over 70 grand. A couple misses, the plastic down here, a little bit on the cheap side, but it doesn't ruin the overall aesthetic here, which I think is, you know, kind of strong and mighty, but also with sophisticated flair. Yeah, if that's what they were shooting for, I think they nailed it. We, of course, have multi-zone climate control. Main gauge cluster is all digital here, and you would expect no less at this price point. It is the typical setup for GMC Chevy vehicles, and it is very useful. I can make changes with a quick little button push up here. Let's turn down the volume so we don't get a copyright strike. Like the Chevy, this does have 3 different drive modes. We have normal, off-road, and terrain. We'll get into those a little bit later. I have a heads-up display if I want to turn it on. I usually turn it off because it's not my favorite thing. So this will give me directions as well as my current speedo readout. So we've pretty well established this is pretty much the exact same truck as the ZR2. With the Chevy ZR2, we took it on an overland adventure, and that was fun. But what I really want to see is how capable these vehicles are. So today we're taking it to our test hill. Yeah, the weather was pretty bad last time, and we couldn't actually get into it because of flooding. Today, however, it's 100 degrees outside, everything is dried out, and we're gonna hit all of our roads. And if we can get through all of our roads, no problem, then we're gonna find some new challenges to see how well this vehicle can deal with them. Okay, so let's buckle up and head out. Driving this truck is really interesting because it is such a large beast of a truck. I mean, it's a full size, and then on top of that you add a 2-inch lift, and then on top of that you put these big knobby all-terrain tires on it. So what you already have being a truck driving like a truck because of leaf springs in the back, which can be very juddery, it's just amplified in this trim level. So if you want a quiet and smooth ride, even at 70 plus grand, you don't get that with this truck. However, most people that are going to even consider something like this Sierra know that. It's not going to be news to them. This particular trim is very well suited for broad trails, open plains, anything where you have room for a beast of this size, but also need the added capability of dual lockers, extra lift, that underbody protection. Now, compared to the Silverado ZR2, probably the biggest misstep on this GMC is the fact that they didn't really redo the bumper in any way that would give it more approach angle capability. That's a very important metric when going off-road, because if you can't get your nose over it, you're not going to be able to climb it. And with this GMC, it's basically the same nose as the AT4. So today we're going to our test hill, and if you're new here, welcome. Our test hill has a number of roads cut into it that emulate forest roads in the Pacific Northwest. We have similar surfaces, similar angles. Some are a little bit more challenging than a forest road would really be, but it gives us a very good idea as to how these vehicles handle in trail-like conditions. And then when a vehicle is more properly equipped for off-road like this one, then we go off the road and we're gonna go find some other stuff we can do on the same hill. So let's dig in. For me, every day is good when it's on the hill. In this rig, this road feels tiny because this rig is so big. So with this AT4X, there are a lot of tools in the toolbox. And we're gonna go through all of those features, how they work, when you wanna use them, and how they compare to other vehicles in the class. Right, so let's kick it off with the Rattler. So for this first test, what should we do? We're in two-wheel drive right now. I'm thinking I should probably change that. Yeah, so let's go ahead and switch it into 4 high. Now to do that, I just hit the 4 up button over here. I don't have to go into neutral or anything like that. That's only required for 4 low. Any other features? No, I don't think so. Let's just drive it. So I can turn on my camera here and use it for a trail cam. It's a surround view, so I can see a top down as well as wheel tracking in the front. This helps me pick a line. There we go, and we got a big rock right there. So I want to just barely put a wheel on it. There we go. This has so much ground clearance, I don't have to worry about anything because this thing has 11.1 inches of it. I like, right? You can just get over anything with that. Now, the suspension, because it's leaf springs in the back, it is a little bouncy. I think the dampers are doing a good job of kind of soaking up some of the irregularities. Okay, and then we continue up, and so far, no real special features. I mean, 4 high, that's just 4-wheel drive. Haven't even engaged the low gear yet. I'm going to cut this in, which is going to make it a little bit more challenging, but I think this brute with these all-terrain tires can definitely handle it. And we'll see how the power transfers around. Oh, it struggles a little bit, but it's using wheel braking to push power to the wheel that has grip, which is what you kind of expect. Now, of course, this does have a locker in the front as well as a locker in the rear. And once we engage those, then you don't even get that wheel spin, it just pulls you up. But we'll do a different test later to really show how those things work. Okay, so it did that just fine. That's a very easy test. It is nice that I sit so high, but one issue here is that hood is so high and so square, it's really kind of hard to tell where things are. So that is why I'm very happy to see a surround view camera system here. That does operate as a trail cam with tracking lines. It really kind of gives you confidence, especially if you don't off-road all the time, or if a trail is just, you know, if you're uncertain about where your wheels are going to be placed, and or the margin of error is very small, like right here. I'm trying to make sure that I really thread this needle here. Don't rub up against that, don't fall off that. So here is a good opportunity to test out the hill descent control system. There's actually 2 ways to do hill descent in this vehicle. One is straight up hill descent control. The other one is to use the trail system, which again, we'll get to in a bit. So right now I can just take my foot off the gas. It's currently set to 2 miles an hour. I can use the cruise control to change that speed all the way down to 1 mile per hour. And you can see it's just easing me down the hill. Now this is very good for slippery surfaces. You know, like if you're in the snow or very loose rock or something like that, it'll use the braking to do the best it can to keep you not only from sliding, but also tracking straight down the hill, depending on which way your wheel is turning, of course. And there we go, and I can turn it up. And of course I can put the brakes on with my foot, or I can hit the gas at any time. Let's check this approach angle. Ooh, that's gonna be a little snug. I think we're okay. And then this is a long truck, so I gotta watch that tail as I go up here. Up we go. Now this next segment is a series of logs, and what it's going to do is take traction off of one wheel but keep traction on the other between left and right. So this will show the difference between just straight 4 low and then engaging that rear locking differential. So what are we going to do here? Let's set it up. So I'm switching into 4 low because I am going to be climbing over logs and I want to have a real gradual throttle. I don't want to have and with this big V8 under the hood, it kind of wants to lurch a little bit. So this will give me more control. Again, I'm using the camera system here to line up. I'm in 4 low. I have not turned on any other features. This is actually a really good opportunity to show how the terrain mode works. Now this has 2 off-road modes. One's just simply called off-road and the other one is called terrain. What terrain does is it functions like a single pedal driving. So when I'm putting my foot on, I get throttle. When I take it off, I get brake. The difference here is that the other system, off-road, is more like an off-road fun mode. It allows for additional wheel spin, which is good for getting through, say, deep mud. But when you're climbing over rocks and stuff, you want to have a little bit more control. You don't want wheel spin. So I'm going to terrain. And now what I can do here is I will just put a little throttle in, make sure I'm lined up here. And then when I release the gas pedal, let's do it when we climb up on one of these logs. Okay. Now that I'm up a log, I can, well, natural reaction, I left foot braked. But let's climb up onto this next log. So I'm going to climb up on it, and we have a little rock on the left side too. Now when I take my foot off of the gas pedal, it stops me immediately. That's actually really good for amateurs or people who just don't do it very often when they're doing some rock climbing, because the natural thing is to let off the gas and then you free roll, and you don't want to free roll when you're in precarious situations. So with this mode engaged, I'm just going to keep on going. Got to watch my right side there. There is a little bit of a cut in the side of the hill. And now when the back wheels are on there, we should get a little resistance because we have an open differential in the back right now. We haven't engaged that locker. Yeah, so see, we're getting stuttering because it's trying to shift power around. And it does it successfully. See, what it did is it detected slip, and so then it added brake to the wheel that was spinning to push power to the other side. The terrain mode is kind of like Ford's trail mode and kind of also like Toyota's crawl control, but in those versions it also automatically applies throttle. This one it does not. Okay, now we're going to line up for the steep climb. As we go up here, you want to look at that back driver's side wheel, see how it reaches down, grabs some traction, and I'm not going to turn on the rear locker yet. We're just going to see what this does. Let's do it. We're in 4 low, throttle on. And I'm just going to try to take it really slow. We can see how this braking system works as it's shuffling power around the system. Pretty effective, I'd say. Now I am glad that I have those sliders on the sides of the vehicle, because if I were to mess up my breakover angle, those will protect the sides of the body of the vehicle. So it's kind of just like a nice bit of insurance. Okay, we're not done yet. We have more tests to do. So let's climb up and get it done. Boom. I don't like it that that camera turns off every time I go over like 5 miles an hour, or maybe 10. I don't know. What speed do I have here? Yeah, probably 10 miles per hour. The camera shuts off, which is kind of annoying. If I have my trail cam on, I want it to stay on. Why do you turn off? All these vehicles and their automation. Psha. Now it's time to go to the new addition, which is the property next door, which we acquired earlier this year. We don't have roads on it yet, but there's still some tests we can do with this vehicle. I mean, technically this is off-roading. There's no road here right now. So for those of you who like to post in the comments, that's not off-roading. Technically it is. If things are looking a little tilty, it's because, we're at a 16-degree tilt. Hi, tree. Now this is a fun one. I like this one. It doesn't look as steep on camera. It never does. But this is pretty steep. This is currently 15 degrees, and then it escalates all the way up to about 17, 18 degrees up at the top. So this gives us an opportunity to try the high speed settings in a challenging but not impossible scenario. Also, we're going to see when and when you cannot enable those differential locks. So I'm at a 15-degree angle. I'm in 4 low. Actually, let's switch it up. Let's go to 2 high and see if we can put on that rear locker. Come on, shift to neutral. Okay. There we go. And we're in 2-wheel drive. I've noticed that this actually switches very predictably. Some systems kind of get confused on occasion. Haven't had that issue with this vehicle yet. Okay, so we're in 2-wheel drive. Let's see if we can lock that rear diff. We can! Ha! Love it. I think the only other 4-wheel drive truck I've driven recently where you can lock the rear diff in 2-wheel drive is the Ford Ranger. So this is a nice surprise, actually. Okay, we're in drive, 2-wheel drive, rear diff locked, and let's floor it. This is how steep this is. It's very steep. Even with the rear diff locked, I mean, I could probably give a running start, maybe. Let's try this. Running start. Let's wait for that dust to clear. And go. Yeah. Okay, that's no fun. We're going to be crawling up at like 2 miles an hour. I think it's time to get some real work done. I'm going to go ahead and switch into 4 high. Let this switch it up. I'm going to keep that rear diff locked, and we're just going to drive up the hill. Let's put it into off-road mode so we get a little wheel spin. Here we go. Super easy. Now, the suspension here is pretty rickety, to be honest. On this really, really rough stuff, it's not comfortable. I do like the suspension in this vehicle, but the problem really stems from the fact that it's on leaf springs. You can only do so much. And those are really good for like yumps and stuff. But on this really rough surface, I just get jarred a lot, more so than I do on a vehicle that has coil springs. I was on the TRD off-road up here recently, much smoother on the ascent. Now, I like the features in this rig. It's got really good stuff. It's really fun, and I think it's actually, I really like it. The issue here is, of course, you're over 70 grand. That's a lot of money. But if you're looking for a full-size truck, you like the looks of the GMC, and personally, I think this looks better than the Silverado ZR2. Dude, it's a pretty epic truck. Just keep in mind, it's big. Also, keep in mind, these tires do generate a lot of road noise, especially at low speeds. Actually on the freeway too, so I guess it just generates a lot of road noise. So on a off-road ready rig with a front locker, we have to kind of dial things up a little bit more difficult. So this is a part of the hill that we've never used before. And I just want to see how well it works. So I'm going to go ahead and switch it into 4 low. So I'm putting it into neutral, 4 low. I'm going to keep that rear locker engaged, and then if we need to, we'll engage the front locker. I'm also going to use the terrain mode so that it's single pedal driving, kind of like somebody who buy these trucks might actually use. And here we go. Now this is going to test approach, breakover, and most importantly, those differentials. So I'm completely lifting traction off a couple wheels. Oh, this is tough. Okay, we're just digging. We don't want to dig ourselves into a hole. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on the front locker. And we're in 4 low, front locker. Now let's just see how it does. Can it pull us up? I can see it's trying to shift power around. It's trying really hard. I have my foot down. Okay, this is where we need to use those skid plates with a little momentum. So I'm going to back up just a wee bit, because I don't want to scrape. I've rotated slightly, so my back is probably going to drag. And I am at 26 degrees angle right now. Let's get a little momentum, kick it. Come on, it's cutting power, but it wants to do it. And up and over. Oh, come on, you got this, you got this. Yes, front locker victorious. Flawless victory. Ah. And there you have it. This rig is awesome. If you're looking for a full-size truck with a front locker, boom, there you go. For Driving Sports TV, I'm Ryan Douthit. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share videos. We make them for you, and I hope you enjoy them.